Hi, this is Eric Bixa with Advanced Nutrients, and welcome to episode 41 of Hydroponic Secrets. Thank you for joining me today. In this week's installment, we're going to backtrack a little and cover more of some questions raised in our last episode. That was episode 40, mixing hydroponics nutrients. Basically, we were trying to determine if there's any benefit to adding your nutrients, additives, and beneficials in a particular order. I had suggested that adding your base nutrients first was a good practice because plants require base nutrients to grow. They will do better with the additives and beneficials as well, but compared to being grown with additives and beneficials alone, base nutrients come number one. And there was also the fact that there's the possibility of flocculation or the degradation of certain nutrients like calcium, which we covered in episode 40. So I invited you, the viewer, to share your experience and knowledge in this subject, and I've got some pretty good responses. I've picked a few of them here to read out loud and discuss with all of you, and one of them poses a question that I'm going to answer. The other two did have questions, and I'm going to get to in later episodes. So without further ado, here we go. Number one. Hey Eric, I would just like to say in response to your curiosity in what nutrients and additives should be added first for better results. In my experience using nutrients, other brands not advanced but quite similar, I like to add the micronutrients first, as they usually contain the chelating agents to help nutrients bond into one little nice package. If I add any other chelates, such as molasses, I add them at the end of watering and in between the two chelates. I like to put my grow and then bloom nutrients at their specified dosage, mixing very well every time something is added. For late flowering, weeks 5 to 6, I switch the bloom and molasses. In theory, I think this helps to chelate the flower nutrients with the sweetener and carbosource molasses, making for a great taste, kind of a pre-flush flush. Well, thanks Nimrod for your input on this, and I will answer your question on a future episode, so stay tuned. So on to feedback number 2. Hi Eric, I've been watching your show, and I have gained a serious amount of wealthy tips which I'd like to thank you for. Truly the pleasure is all mine. Now, out of my experience, knowing what to mix also requires knowing the stage of growth your plants are in. For example, let's say you're using the Advanced Nutrients 3-part system and the additives you have on hand are Sweet Leaf, Sensizyme, Voodoo Juice, Tarantula, Piranha, Revive, and Scorpion Juice. If you are in the vegging growth phase and you don't have all the additives, one thing you can do is to keep the base nutrients at their regular measurements according to the nutrient calculator from Advanced Nutrients. And since you're in veg, one thing you can do is add 1 to 2 milliliters extra of grow to every 3 liters of water. Also, since you don't have any B52, you can use the Sweet Leaf at 4 mils per liter as the B vitamins, carbs, and then add everything else as per the nutrient calculator, and last you will add the Revive. This is just an example for you to build off of. The same scenario in bloom by bumping up Big Bud and bumping up bloom by 1 milliliter per 3 liters in the 3-part system. Thanks again for the amazing work you guys do at Advanced Nutrients. Brainstorm. Thanks, Brainstorm, and you've got a good question here, which I haven't read, but I am going to get to in a future episode, so stay tuned as well. All right, and then on to number 3. I'm a newbie, but when I mix up my mixture, I usually mix the Tarantula, Piranha, Voodoo Juice in the water with some Carboload and let it sit for at least a day because 1, Tarantula and Piranha are harder to mix. 2, it allows the microbes and fungi to reproduce and multiply a bit, correct? Question mark. And 3, it allows the chlorine in my tap water to dissipate. And this is the question part of it. Now that I think about it, Would the chlorine hurt the bacteria and fungi? Should I let the chlorine dissipate first before I add the tarantula, piranha, and voodoo? And the answer is yes. It's a good idea to leave your water out overnight uncovered, being aerated with an air stone. The chlorine gas from your municipal water supply will quickly dissipate, and it will provide a healthier environment for the active ingredients, which are beneficial microbes in voodoo juice, piranha, and tarantula, to begin to come out of their overwintering state and begin to become active. And adding the carbo load is a great idea because that's a beneficial food source. You could also add a little H2, which is another great source of carbon, and it will help some of the bacteria. I've also got a couple other emails, some postings from the YouTube channel. One was from Cultivator, and they suggested adding the additives first to the nutrient solution, and then if there was any allowance, which there typically should be for parts per million, to then make that up with the base nutrients. So what we're finding is there's definitely more than one right way to mix up your nutrients. It's a matter of experimentation, but please feel free to send any tips you have here to letters@hydroponicssecrets.tv. I'll be happy to share them with the viewership. And thanks for your participation. Also, to learn how you can get free gifts directly from Advanced Nutrients, please stay tuned at the end of the show while the music's playing. Also, for other great tips and tricks, please visit the link at the bottom of your screen. That's at www.advancednutrients.com/newsletter. To the email of your choice, you're going to be delivered some excellent tips and tricks that are going to help you get bigger and better yields. Once again, with Advanced Nutrients, this is Eric Bixa in episode 41 of Hydroponic Secrets. Thanks for joining me, and see you here next time.